Had a portrait session yesterday, and I wanted to take a minute to show you how you can make a picture that just looks good into something that really looks awesome. So follow along with me here. I'm going to go to the develop module. Since we're 90% there, what I do sometimes just to get started off is just to hit the auto. Brighten it up a little bit, added some contrast. What it won't do is add sharpening. This is just a sharpening that's applied to the raw when you initially import it, but we're going to deal with that later. We're just going to go down here, just show you some things that I normally do to all of them. When you do auto, it really opens the shadows a lot. I'm just going to show you the general thing that I do to most of my stuff. I'm going to go to -14 just to bring a little vignette in there. You can kind of see if I turn it on and off, brings your focus to the middle. I will usually get a mask, select a brush. I have a little preset here called Bright Eyes. It brings the exposure up a little bit, brings the highlights up, and makes it a little bit wider. It's not too crazy. There's a little sharpness also. I just paint that over the eyes. There's some photos that you have to do a little bit more of it too, but in this one, I'm going to get a brush and just use the preset whiten teeth setting just to brush across her teeth there real quick. It's nothing major, just want to take a little bit out of there. Now I would like this is a good, close the mask here. You can see the difference before and after, before and after, before and after. Okay. I want to do something else to this. It's going to really make this a different photo. Hit R to go to the crop tool, and I'm going to crop in. I'm going to take off this top part of her head, kind of put her in the center. We're still going to have the gesture from this posing, but we're going to bring her face more into focus here with this crop. Because we're wanting to bring her face more into the focus, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go to the mask, and I'm going to do a radial gradient. I look at the radial gradients kind of like a spotlight. And what I like to do a lot of times is make one big enough to cover her face. Let it cover her face. A little bit down under her neck. You can see with the overlay, that's where it's going to affect. And you can brighten it like that. That looks better, but what I want to do in this case, instead of brightening her face, I'm going to take this mask, let me put it back to 0, so there's no mask at all. See, there's no mask at all. I'm going to invert this mask. Her face is bright enough that I want to leave it like that, so I'm going to invert the mask. You can see that the overlay is now on the outside. Her face is kind of the center of the spotlight, and I'm going to bring it down on the outside of it like that. Okay. So now we have, let me turn this mask on and off. It's kind of glitchy it looks, but you can see it kind of makes just the outside a little bit darker. Makes it a little bit more about her face. So let me do the before, after, before, after, before, and after. Okay, one more thing. We're going to sharpen. I always want to sharpen your raw images. So what I usually do is bring this up to about 80, 75, 80. If you hold down the Alt key, you don't want to do this just like it is, because what I'm going to do is go down here to the masking and hold down the Alt key, and you can kind of see that's going to sharpen everything that's white. And especially, she has really good skin, but right now you can already see, if I zoom in here, that you can really see a lot of the makeup edges and stuff like that. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to mask it. So we're going to hold down the Alt, slide it over here where you can see her face now is pretty much white or black, but only the lines on her face to kind of show that definition are showing. So take that off, and so this might be hard to see, but it definitely adds a little bit of clarity to it. But that's not usually how I do it. I use the Topaz Sharpen AI. You go to the plugins and open the Topaz Sharpen AI, and it'll open your image inside of Topaz, and it will show you kind of what you're getting before you apply it. This is a really cool plug-in. Will save you sometimes when you'll focus on one eye and the other one's out of focus. It'll help bridge that gap. Let me zoom in here, and you can kind of see as you move the image, it'll go, hey, I'm going to update now that you've moved it. So on the left hand side you have the original. On the right hand side it's picking its own preset. It thinks what's best is going to be the out of focus, very noisy plug-in. And what we're going to do, as you can see now, it's loaded. You can see a lot of difference. You can see really in the eyes. You can see a little bit more in her skin texture. And what we can do, we can take a little bit of that noise out. You can adjust all of your stuff. You can even go to the different presets. I usually do the default, but for speed's sake, let's just go ahead and apply the default. So it's going to apply this. It doesn't take that long. You can bulk load a lot of them and just tell it to select the auto function, and it will just apply the whatever it thinks is best. Works good most of the time. Sometimes it'll add some little surprises in there. So as that saves, when it gets done processing, it'll come over here and be added to the to your grid. So you can see in your grid here we have a sharpened with a topaz. This is the one that it was before. You can tell it's a DNG. This one comes back as a copy. Well, that's not it. Here it is. There's the TIFF. I was confused. So here's the TIFF. Here's the original. Let me show you what these look like. Here and here. Hold down Control and hit in, and you can see them side by side. You can decide sometimes you want the one that you didn't think you wanted. But gives you some choices. What I'll usually do is go edit and then go back and just sharpen all of my stuff at once. But like I said, you don't even need to do that. You mainly, the important thing out of this is that you need to sharpen. And there's a lot of ways to do it. You can do it in Photoshop. Don't really do that often, but hope you like it. Here's before. I'm going to show you a quick before and after. We select that, go to develop. I'm going to reset this whole picture. That'll take away all of the edits. Here's the after, here's the before. We can compare those side by side. You can see some quick edits, a crop, a radial filter, and some sharpening, and we go from the one on the right to the one on the left. Hope you enjoyed.